Welcome to the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I am your host, Shannon Whaley, and I'm here to help coaches, consultants, and service providers like you build profitable, sustainable online businesses without the hustle or the burnout that's so prevalent in the online space. I am here to show you that there is a totally different way to do business that doesn't leave you burnt the fuck out and hating your life. It's time to ditch the hustle culture and embrace a new way of doing business. So get ready to redefine success on your terms and build a thriving anti-hustle based business where you have more money, more naps, more travel, more freedom, more whatever the fuck you want in your life. So buckle up and let's dive in. Hi, welcome back. So today we are going to have a yes and conversation about launching. This is an episode about ethical business building, sustainable business building. Last episode was about mentor coaching and how to feel more confident as a coach. So this episode is going to be more about the business side of things. I just want to preface this by this is a bit of a different conversation than what I usually have in terms of talking about launching. And so I will differentiate as we get going. But I wanted to do this episode because a lot of new coaches think that they have to go do this full-fledged launch in order to get hired. And I teach launching in Anti-Hustle Business School. And it is a program specifically for, well, it's not just necessarily new coaches. I've had 6-figure business owners come in there and multi-six moving into 7 figures into business school because of the principles that I teach. And also, I see the whole launch strategy being so overwhelming, especially for brand new coaches. And so oftentimes brand new coaches are thinking, okay, I need to have a funnel. I need to have a waitlist. I need to have all this tech stuff set up. I need a 5-day challenge. Maybe I should do paid ads. I need to have daily content. And then they think, okay, well, if I don't have those things, then I'm not ready. Then I have to do all of this stuff before I can put myself out there and get hired. And that is not true. And so we're going to talk about that today. Do you need these things eventually? Yes. Do I teach you how to do all of these things in Anti-Hustle Business School? Yes. But sometimes what we need to do is get really, really basic because, especially if you're still in coach training, trying to build out a signature course is not going to serve you well because you're just figuring out, like you're just building your chops as a coach. You're just figuring out who you want to be coaching and what you want to be talking about. And it's so clunky. And so trying to build out a big, robust signature program that's going to change lives, that's not where you are yet in your business. And so I want to talk today specifically to the newer people who are just getting out there. And again, if you're further along, hang out, still listen. You're going to hear something that you need. But this is who I'm talking about. I don't want you to think that, oh, she's backtracking or, which is fine. We learn new things and we change what we do. But because the title is How to Get Hired Without, air quotes, launching. So I don't want to mislead you and think that, oh, I don't have to launch anymore. Because as you get further along, of course you have to launch. So that's why I said this is a both or a yes and. So launching brings up so much stuff for brand new coaches, especially. It also brings up stuff for seasoned coaches because launch culture historically has been based off of urgency and scarcity and big promises, high energy, like really intense. And it scares the shit out of a lot of people, especially if you're new, especially if you're neurodivergent, especially if you have ADHD, if you're not feeling super confident. And there's an opportunity here to do things a different way. for so many people, launching is dysregulating. So that's why in biz school, sometimes they're going to follow the curriculum to the T. They're ready to launch. We're ready to put their signature program together. But sometimes we have to pare things back. I'm working with a student right now where she's just getting back into coaching. And so we had to set the signature program situation aside. We built out a smaller program. So it's going to be 3 months. It's a 90-day program. We've cut it down so that it just felt attainable for her to even talk about this online, because we were noticing that she was getting way too caught up in the signature program stuff. It was just feeling too big. And so sometimes we have to pare things down. Sometimes we have to look at, this isn't actually where you are in your business. So let's modify it a little bit so that we can meet you where you are. Launching can be so dysregulating, and our job is to figure out how to make that happen less. I'm not going to say that it's going to be smooth sailing. It's like something is always going to go wrong in your launch. So if you can just accept that, if you can just trust that, like, okay, I know that like something's not going to work, something's not going to go as planned, and I trust that I'm going to figure it out. I trust that I can hold myself through it. I trust that we'll get through this. Like, it's not going to be perfect. And unless you're building that trust into your nervous system while you're launching, this starts to feel like performance again. In our last episode, we talked about performing as a coach, but then this starts to feel performing as a marketer. You get into this like weird fucking proving energy and this performance energy. And so it's easy to skip over this part of paying attention to how your body feels, because you're so dead set on, it has to look a certain way, or I got to hit these numbers or else. Okay. And so many people are resistant to launching, and our job is to figure out what's coming up for you. It's typically not laziness. It's that it feels overwhelming. And so then you get into like a panic or a fawn response. It can be analysis paralysis, decision fatigue. There's so much that goes into it. So how do we minimize the decisions that have to go in, and how do we make this really easy? So there's a difference between being visible and showing up and talking about what you do, and then like performing visibility. So, and with that too comes this like weird, like fake urgency. And then we start to get into the unethical part of business that breaks trust. So, like the fake urgency or the fake scarcity. I only have 2 spots left. Well, if that's not true, then don't fucking say that. Or this is your last chance. Like if you're going to reopen the cart or the door, like don't fucking say that. I don't know how many times I've seen coaches do that, where they're like, okay, cart's closing. And then they know that they're going to open it back up. Like it's just so sleazy. And we don't do that here. So when you are selling with integrity, when you're showing up and getting visible, and you are rooted, your business is rooted in integrity, you're sharing with them how this will help them. You're sharing who you work with, who this is a great fit for. You're talking about, this is how you can work with me. We never want to convince people. We want to stay out of this like convincing, especially on sales calls and stuff, right? Like we're just here to share what we do. And here are our options. This is what this program, what my coaching will help you do. Maybe you just even want to get away from like the program concept until you've actually built out a program. So it's a 90-day. We'll work together for 3 months. It's 2 sessions a month. During this time, we'll look at your goals. So like you just start to focus on the results. You're always talking about the transformation. How is this going to move them forward? How is this going to help them reach their goals, all of these things. And so we really want to stay out of the convincing and stay into the invitation. So this is about ethical visibility, ethical business building, and not about convincing or persuading them. So you also want to keep in mind the core competencies as you're building your business. So one of the competencies is maintaining an ethical practice, and that includes confidentiality, but it doesn't start there. So you want to make sure that as you're building your business and you're thinking forward, that you are really clear about expectations, what they're going to get, what you're responsible for, what they're responsible for, what the potential transformation could be, right? Like they get to decide, like, what are the results that you want from working together? Like what do you want this to look like? And this is where the honest marketing comes in. We don't want to overpromise. We don't want to guarantee results. Like that is a hard no. And we just want to be really transparent about the communication, about what's involved, being really clear about our credentials and knowing what our lane is. This is one thing that is really murky about the coaching industry, where it can get out of scope, right? There's definitely people out there who are doing things that aren't really coaching, that they're veering into, in my opinion, like a slippery slope of, as soon as they're starting to talk about trauma, and like this can get really sticky. So you want to make sure that you are staying within the coaching parameters, that you're staying within your wheelhouse, and that you're not moving out or like into therapy or anything close to that, counseling, anything close to that, and maintaining that ethical practice. And so the other piece here too is, how are you embodying a coaching mindset as a business owner? And so really having the lenses, like using the core competencies as you're also building your business to have, because we want to be ethical coaches, right? We want to make sure that we have integrity, that we are following the rules essentially, especially if you are a credentialed coach, and we have ethics that we have to abide by. And so if you're looking at the core competencies, how can I also incorporate these into my business? So being really self-aware during the sales process and being clear and transparent during your coaching or your sales calls, not using the slimy sales tactics that are typically taught in the industry, not manipulating people, not guilting people. The things that I have heard over the last 10 years of the shaming that has happened. Oh, if you don't sign up for this, it means that you don't want it. If you're not willing to put this on a credit card, it means you're not serious. Like, what the fuck? So these are all things that I do not teach. We do not do. We do not collect credit cards over the phone. We do not do any of the pushy sales tactics. I remember when I was first learning sales, they're like, do not get off the phone until they say yes. And I was like, that's fucking slimy. It's just not good, which gave the industry a really, really bad name. And so we're here to do things ethically. We're here to run an ethical coaching container, and we're here to run an ethical coaching business. Because what it comes down to, those are high pressure sales tactics that are coming from scarcity and not trusting the sale, not trusting the person, right? So if someone's like, I want to work with you, great. Then what we were taught was get their credit card information while you're on the call. That's not trusting that they're going to get off the call and then go sign up. If you're worried that they're not going to sign up when they get off the phone with you, then it was never a yes. It was not going to happen anyway. And then if you've taken their money and now they're not fully in, now you have to deal with chargebacks or refunding money, or people who aren't all in, they felt pressured, right? So like, we want to give that space. We want to give that time to our potential clients. And if your marketing or if your sales requires you to override your values, then that is not an ethical business. That is not in alignment. That is not what we're doing here. I would never ask a client to override their values or their intuition to get a sale. It's just such bad practice. Want to break free from the hustle and grind and build a successful business? I've helped thousands of clients and students leave their 9-to-5 jobs, travel the world, land their first clients, close 5-figure sales in the DMs, and grow their businesses to 6 and 7 figures. Want to know more? Visit antihustlebiz.com and transform your life and business the anti-hustle way. Okay, back to the show. So let's talk about how to get hired without an actual launch, because especially if you're just getting started, I don't want you to feel that fucked up launch energy and have it scare you to the point where you don't ever want to launch again. So many people have launch trauma. So many people have had such horrible experiences. And so I really want to help you tiptoe into this and help you get yourself out there. So what is going to help you significantly is having clarity around your work. So what problem can you help people with? What problem do you solve or help solve? What is the outcome or the outcomes that you support? And then how can somebody work with you? What does this look like? That's basically it. That's all you're talking about. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to build out a program and launch or put yourself out there solely from this episode, but this is a start. And you're probably going to need some support around this, but this will get things moving. You don't need 5 different offers or options. You don't need like a dozen bonuses. You don't need 5 different payment plans. Just make it simple. So referring back to the student that I had in business school where we peeled everything back and we're like, let's just get you out there. So the super simple package that we're talking about, because again, I recommend everyone move out of hourly and move into package pricing. So it's either more intense, so it's 90 days, 4 sessions a month, or 6 months, 2 sessions a month. Same price point, right? So it could either be $400 a month for the 3 months, or it's $200 a month for 6 months. Same price point. So we also want to be thinking, now, if you felt a contraction when I said 400 and 200, it means that we need to work on your pricing. I want you to remember that you're not charging for the session. You're charging for the transformation. You're charging for your expertise. You're charging for your time. So not just the sessions, but is there any support in between the sessions? Do they have you on Voxer or Telegram? Are they allowed to email you? Like, what does the in-between session support look like? You want to make sure that that's part of the package. So typically 200 and 400, that's what I was recommending back in 2017. So you should probably have a higher price point considering the economy, but if you're not there yet, then it doesn't matter what I think. If 200 and 400 feels like it's too much, then we need to adjust it. But that's just the example that I'm giving you. That's it. 2 different packages. It's literally the same thing. Like but it's 90 days or 6 months. Do you want to hit the ground running and have like an intensive experience, or do you want to spread this out and have more time together? And just let them choose. And that's all. Easy peasy. So it's not super, super complicated. What starts to feel complicated is like, oh, I'm supposed to have this, and I'm supposed to have these bonuses, and I'm supposed to have this portal, and I'm supposed to have this website. And if you're just getting started, all of that stuff is, yes, you need that eventually, but you do not need it now. I DIY'd my business until I hit 6 figures. I did my own website. I had some assistants. I had virtual assistants. I've had an accountant for basically my whole business. Well, mostly. Yeah, 2017. So I started business in 2015, learned the hard way why I needed to have an accountant, and almost I had to shut my business down because I got into trouble. Will not make that mistake twice. And did everything bootstrapped. You don't need to pay someone to do your website. You do not need to pay someone to do your branding. You do not need any portals. You don't need Go High Level or FG Funnels or any of these super robust. You don't need any of these things. I am happy to share with you how to bootstrap your business so that you can invest in coaching and coach training so that you can learn how to coach and then learn how to run an actual business. Marketers are really good at their jobs, and that's why they do what they do. And so they will convince you and tell you that you need to have all of these things. And yes, you need to have them eventually. But if you're just starting out, and even before 6 figures, like, you don't need half of the stuff that you think you need. And so I just really, really want to simplify all of this for you so that you can stop putting off getting hired. Because what I also see happening is people are like, oh, I can't get hired until I do this. And that is just a good way to drag your feet. And there's oftentimes something else going on. And most of the time it's confidence. It's not feeling prepared. And we need to work on other things, not you having to learn how to do tech, because typically new coach has more time than money, and you don't need to be learning all of these platforms, how to do SEO, how to edit, how to do all of this. There are ways to do things that are simpler until you start bringing the money in, and then you can outsource it. So how do we get you hired? How can you invite people into your business without manipulating them? So it's easy. Just think of this as an invitation. You can say, if this lands for you, if this resonates for you, here's how we can work together. That's it. This is really easy to feel pressure and get tripped up on, but that's really it. How can you make this feel like an invitation? You don't need to do a countdown. You don't need to add like 2 spots left. This is it. Let's go, right? You don't, first of all, it's not true. Don't do it. But if that way of selling doesn't work for you, then also don't do it. You just want to do the mindset work to trust that your people are seeing your posts, that you're reaching out to people, that you are attracting the right people, that the right people will lean in, you're showing up. Maybe you're in different groups or you're sharing on your socials, and you're building that trust. So you're talking about how you help people. Maybe you've been talking about coach training and what you've been learning. You're sharing some of your experiences. There's the storytelling piece. Like, there's lots of different ways I have in Anti-Hustle Business School, one of the bonuses is the 7 ways, or maybe I have that as a freebie. Let me see if I can put that in the show notes. But it's 7 types of content that you need to get hired. So you want to be creating different types of content to connect with your audience. And this is how you build that relationship. And those relationships are what's going to make getting hired so much easier. When people see you sharing, when they see you being vulnerable, this is how you build that trust. And this is when people are like, oh, I've seen their story. I feel like we could be friends, or I feel like they understand what I'm going through. And that's how you start to build the trust. Also, one of the myths is that I need to have lots of followers. I need to go viral. all of that is also false. You really, really want to lean into your next client is already in your audience. And that mindset will serve you well throughout your entire business, that I am connecting with people, I am building relationships, and I trust that my next client is already in my orbit. And this is part of your journaling. This is part of the mindset work about getting hired, that this gets to be easy. I get to have this. People understand what I do. They understand how I can help them. So all the beliefs that you want to start adopting to help make this process feel easier, because things can start to feel hard. And things start to feel hard when you start to overcomplicate them. Things start to feel really hard when you start thinking, I need all of these things. You don't need these things. You need a super simple offer. Also make sure that you've downloaded the Anti-Hustle Business Checklist. So that's at antihustlebiz.com, because you'll see I list out what you need to get hired. And now that I'm thinking about it, I think it says you need a signature offer. Just disregard that, because this is always a yes and. And also, this is a good example of, I can't really tell you what you need in your business through a podcast or through a freebie, right? I can't make modifications for my programs through the internet. I can do it when we're in business school. I can guide you and teach you and coach you when we're working together. And that's where the nuances come from. So it's really easy to think, oh, I'll download this freebie. I'll get this freebie from this person for sales. Like, you start to piecemeal your business together. And that's exactly why I created Anti-Hustle Business School, because I was doing that same thing. And I was like, you know what? When I get to the point where I finally know what I'm doing, I'm going to create a program where all of the things are in one place, because I had a marketing coach, I had this other coach, and I was looking around at sales coaches, right? And so I wanted to create a one-stop shop that taught the basic business foundations and simplified things, because all of this stuff can get quite confusing. It can get very overwhelming. And then what happens when you're overwhelmed? You're like, I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to go do something else. Like, I'm not doing this. And I want to help you get hired. I want to help you build your business. I want to help you start making money. I want to help you make this happen. So how do we modify this so that you can put this 90-day or 6-month program together, work on your pricing, be able to show up confidently, and then how are you going to talk about it? That's like a huge part of this. Who's it for? How's it going to help them? How is it going to change who they are, change their future self? Thinking about who do they want to be? What do they want to do? What do they want to have as a result of their work with you, as their time with you? So these are all things that you're going to talk about online. I'll put that other freebie in the show notes, the one for 7 types of content that you need to make a sale. Check that out. And before we go, so I want you to think, if you've been waiting to launch and putting this off, I want you to ask yourself, am I building relationships? Like, that should be your number one priority. Or am I just like doing like robot strategy or like sales tactics, and I'm not actually moving the needle? So where can I be clearer? Where can I be bolder in my content? Where can I invite people instead of trying to convince people to work with me? Where am I showing up in proving energy? How am I talking about my offer? So these are all things. Come into Anti-Hustle Business Coaching with Shannon Whaley, my Facebook group. That's also at antihustlebiz.com, so you can get into the group from there. But you can come in there and ask questions about what I'm talking about or how to build your business, because I know how overwhelming this can be. So that's how we can get you moving along without quote unquote launching. Give yourself ample time, whether it's, okay, I'm going to show up for like 30 days, like I'm going to do this, and maybe give yourself a little bit of a break so that you don't burn yourself out launching. You always want to have some break in between launch cycles or launch sprints or a sales sprint. Maybe you don't even want the word launch in there. I'm going to do a 30-day sales sprint. I'm going to sell this package. Good. Go do that. Change the wording however you need it so that you aren't activated, and then come into the group and share your thoughts with me. So that's all I got today. Thank you for being here. I will see you next week, and take care. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Anti-Hustle Business Podcast. I hope you found inspiration in the message and that you got some actionable next steps that you can implement right away in your business to start seeing results and moving the needle. Remember, you don't have to sacrifice your well-being or your mental health to achieve success. So prioritize your pleasure, play, and rest while you build your business around your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps me reach more entrepreneurs like you who want to do business in a completely new way. For more resources and to connect with my community, please visit my website at antihustlebiz.com and follow me on Instagram at @TheShannonWhaley. Until next time, keep taking those strategic anti-hustle steps toward building the business and life that you love. Take care.